Hey guys, it's Troy, and we are coming to you from a very special location today, Manchester city centre, and sitting here Monday morning making a quick video. Well, we'll see how quick it is. Manchester is a place that has significance in my life because I used to live here. I'm not from here, I'm from the south of England, I'm a southerner, fully paid up southerner. But I did live in Manchester for quite a long time. Started off, I came to university here, and then I just stayed, and I got various jobs, and I worked here, and lived here for a period of time until I moved back down to London. And so it's not a place that I visit very often. I haven't been here for a number of years, and it's really changed a lot. This is of no interest to anybody who doesn't know the city, so I'll keep this a bit short, but it really has changed a lot, like with many places, a lot of gentrification, a lot of new buildings and all that kind of stuff. What I really wanted to talk about though in this video is transformation though, and my transformation as a human being really happened most markedly in this city, okay? Now, I think that transformation is something that happens to us continuously throughout our life, and sometimes there's big transformations and sometimes there are shorter transformations or more subtle, small transformations, or maybe those transformations that last over a longer period of time. For me, in Manchester, there was a big transformation that happened very, very quickly, okay? When I say quickly, I mean over the course of like a few weeks. I literally became almost a different person, all right? And the reason that it's interesting, I think, for me to talk about this is because it really deeply impacted on my dating life and the way that I conducted my relationships, okay? So, really what happened was I've been living in the home counties, down near London, in sort of suburbia, relatively near to London, and, I came up to Manchester, came to university, and effectively just went nuts, really. I think I'd always had a tendency towards addictive behaviours. I think I'd always had a tendency towards, alcohol. I hadn't really used drugs, but I was certainly somebody who had all of that in me, the desire to change my state. And as soon as I came to Manchester, I was away from family, I was away from anybody really I knew. Then all bets were off, and I just kind of just took full advantage, and I started to take a lot of different. I started to drink a lot for a start, but I also started to use party drugs. Now, Manchester was well known, and it's still actually well known as a big party city. But back in the day, you had things like the Hacienda, Sankey's Soap, Paradise Factory, various other places. It was really was party central outside of London. It was it was the hub really of clubbing and house music and all the rest of it. And I fully embraced all of that. So I got really into the MDMA culture, ecstasy culture. There was amphetamines going around. There was LSD. There was obviously marijuana, magic mushrooms, cocaine, all of this kind of stuff. And I just dived head first into all of that. On top of that, I was also using various prescribed and non-prescribed medicines as well, right? Things for anxiety, things for depression, and so on and so forth. So there's this whole cocktail of these chemicals that I started just pouring into my body. And I've talked about this quite a lot, and so if you've watched all of my videos, you'll hear me talk about this, and you'll know what I'm going to say next, because I have to, as a responsible adult content creator, obviously I have to say I don't recommend this as a way to change, because I think there are better ways of doing it, and there are certainly ways of changing as a person that don't fuck up your entire life, which is basically what I did. But the fact remains that weird cocktail of drugs and alcohol and drink and going out to party a lot and all this kind of stuff, it changed me fundamentally as a person. So previously I've been extremely introverted. I've been very, very shy. I've been quite cerebral. I was always quite a brainy kid. I was always quite an intelligent kid. I like nothing more than to sit at home and read a book and just be in my room on my own. I wasn't very social. I wasn't social with, I had a few friends, but I wasn't particularly social in big gatherings. I wasn't the life and soul of the party. I wasn't the extrovert guy who'd go out and just like chat to people. I found it all very, very difficult. Certainly as far as girls were concerned, it was game over really. I just wasn't able to interact with anybody that I thought was attractive. Overnight, pretty much that changed based on the cocktail of the substances that I was using, and it all happened here, right in this city. Okay, in the few square miles of this city, I basically, what's the Robbie Williams line? I didn't lose my mind; it was mine to give away. But I kind of gave my mind away, and I became different. I became a lot more extroverted. I became a lot more cocky. I became a lot more arrogant. I became a lot more self-aggrandizing. I became probably delusionally self-confident. I probably developed a self-confidence that wasn't really merited by anything objective. That is to say, it wasn't that I suddenly became better looking, or I was ripped, or I had a lot of money, or anything really. I mean, I bought some new clothes. I had some quite cool looking clothes. But it wasn't that I'd objectively become somehow this superhuman person, but I developed this superhuman confidence, okay? And so then when I went out and I started interacting with people, I literally, as a thought experiment, I thought, right, I'm going to go out to the clubs and I'm basically going to behave like a bit of a dick, okay? I'm going to behave like a bit of an arrogant, arsehole. I'm just going to see what happens, right? And what I thought would happen was I'd probably get beaten up and, whatever, rejected by society. And certainly, there were people who, found me irritating and grating at that point. But much more than that were people who were drawn to me, including strangely, and this was not an effect that I really expected, women, right? So suddenly women were drawn to me, and attractive girls as well, were drawn to this persona that I created in a way that they'd never had been before, right? Because when I've been the shrinking violet, when I've been the guy standing in the corner, not talking to anybody and scared to look anybody in the eye, nobody paid any attention to me whatsoever. When I became this chemically induced, cocky, arrogant, sort of Jack the Lad arsehole, devil-may-care person, women strangely seemed to find that attractive, or they seemed to find that intriguing, or at least intriguing enough to want to come and to interact with me. And as a result of that, I started to get girlfriends. I started to get into short-term relationships. I started to sleep around and be a bit promiscuous and everything else. Again, it was an unexpected side effect. I didn't really know what was going to happen, and it was driven really by my addictive tendencies, I suppose, because that wasn't the intention. The intention was, I'm going to take these things because it's going to make me feel good, and I like partying and like drinking alcohol and taking these drugs and things. It's going to make me feel good, and that's what I want. I want to get out of my head. The unintended consequence of it was that it started to improve my sex and my dating life. Now, again, I don't recommend this as a route to go down, but the reason I mention it is because what it demonstrated to me very, very clearly is that personality is malleable. Okay, personality, the way that we think we are, is not this fixed thing. It's not this fixed entity that cannot and never will be changed, okay? I thought that I was a certain type of person and that I was stuck like that for life. I thought that I was the shy, geeky, introverted, bookish, cerebral bloke, and I would never be anything other than that. And in a few short weeks of being here, I completely reversed that, and I became somebody very, very different. So what it shows is that it's possible to do, okay? It is possible to change the way that you are. It is possible to change the way that you come across to other human beings, to other people, all right? And to yourself. And your beliefs about yourself are also malleable. You can also change the way that you view yourself, that you regard yourself. Because I went from regarding myself as kind of a piece of shit over here to God's gift over here. Now that is too wide a swing. And it's delusional, and I'm not saying I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying it was objectively true. Of course it wasn't, but it doesn't really matter, right? It's the way that I view myself shifted massively. Okay, the manner in which I did it chemically, as I've said, is not a manner that I recommend. because it also brought with it a lot of consequences. All right, it brought a lot of very negative consequences. I basically fucked up a lot of my early life. You know, my early adult life was fucked up as a result of doing some of the things that I did in various ways. But what it does demonstrate is that we are malleable as people, and we can change. We are not fixed entities. Okay, there are other ways to get from here to here. Okay, whether that's through affirmations, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through just practice, whether that's just through acting as if, whether it's just about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, whether it's through going out and forcing yourself to do as many social interactions as you possibly can in order to, you know, to improve, to get better in social situations. You are changeable. You are not this fixed thing that you maybe think you are at the moment. Okay, you know, maybe you're sitting there, you're watching these videos, and you think, I am no good with women. I'm just like, I've got no luck in dating. Okay, but you can change. You can become something different. All right. Now, what then happened was, after a period of many years, I started to get into a lot of trouble because of the largely because of the alcohol, and so I stopped drinking. Okay, so late 20s, I stopped drinking, went into recovery, blah blah blah, and then, contrary to what you might think, I actually started to go out more, because what tends to happen if you have that sort of addictive ADHD kind of nature, if one thing pops up here, you know, alcoholism pops up here, you push that down, and something else comes up over here. And what I did was I started going out a lot, and I started interacting with a lot of different women. We were going to clubs every single night of the week and just partying. I was sober. I was just drinking the Red Bulls. My friend Will, who we saw yesterday up here, you know, he was having a few drinks, and we were just going out and just having a great time. Now, ironically, by that, so now I was off the drink and I was off the drugs, but my behaviour had changed. My behaviour, because of all the reference experiences that I'd had as that fun guy, as that super extroverted dude, the behaviours remained, okay? And so the transformation had been completed. The transformation was still ongoing because I was still learning. But actually my dating success increased, because when I was drinking I was very sloppy and I was all over the place. By the end, not at the beginning, but by the end I was sloppy, I was all over the place. It was not a very attractive proposition. When I stopped drinking, but I'd had all those reference experiences, and I'd sort of fundamentally altered the way that I operated as a human being, I brought all of that with me, okay? So the behaviour was learned, all right? The behaviour was learned. Now, the behaviour was learned, okay, under the influence of drink and drugs, but nevertheless it was learned, and that remained with me. And so then, when I stopped, and somebody asked me recently if there was a sort of, you know, a transitional period where I found it difficult to go and interact with girls when I was sober, and I said, actually, there really kind of wasn't. There really wasn't. Like, it was so ingrained in me by that point, and this is the value of repetition, this is the value of practice. It was so ingrained in me by that time to just go up and talk to people and start conversations that I just hit the ground running, even sober, okay? So I suppose the slightly positive aspect of that part of the message is that you don't need the drink and the drugs. I didn't need the drink and the drugs in the first place, right? Because the skill set, which is, you know, the riz, the ability to hold court, command presence, the ability to be engaging and entertaining and flirtatious and move interactions forward as necessary, was already in me, right? It wasn't created by the substances. The substances just helped me to access it, okay? So, once again, you can shortcut all of this by learning how to access that part of you and letting it out. And mainly it's going to have to be through, well, we've gone through the things already, affirmations, you know, it's going to be through these mindset exercises and a lot of repetition, a lot of practice. Now, it's going to take persistence, it's going to take a degree of effort, and you're going to have to really, really want it in order to make it work, okay? But it is doable, and that's what we teach people when we do our course, The Edge, for example, myself and James, and when we take people out for live training. This is really what we're teaching people. Okay, yes, it's about, you know, meeting nice girls and maybe going on some dates and things like that. That's the surface level. But what we're really talking about underneath that is personal transformation, because that's what, if you're struggling with this stuff, you've continued to struggle with this stuff year after year after year, then stuff needs to change, okay? And that stuff is mental, it might be hormonal, and it might be to do with the issues that you have both with sex and your feelings around sex, sexual shame, and also the way that you feel about yourself. When we can fix those things, and they are fixable, and we get you out there and we get you practicing, then things start to improve and your results will start to improve in kind. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. I hope you found that interesting. Please do subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment below, give me a like on the way out. We've got a bunch of other events coming up later this year. We've got a boot camp, a VIP boot camp coming up in London quite soon in September. So there'll be details for that below. Get in touch. We've got something coming up in Mexico. We've got something coming up in Colombia in around October. Okay. So if you're interested in either of those, again, just email me, Troy@realtroyfrancis.com. Details below. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.